a career as a professional salesperson, but also because everybody lives by selling something. You know, it's kind of the skills, the negotiation, creative thinking, persuasion, presentation. These things are key. So we've put things in a way which it can be useful for everybody, useful for people in a commercial environment, and then a set of skills for people who are going into sales. Last time we spoke about building a value proposition. So go and have a look at that video if this is interesting. There's two main parts to this. I talked about your personal value proposition, your social pitch, if you like, how you can introduce yourself with maximum impact in a punchy way. There's a little formula to it. Name, same, fame, game, aim. Who you are, what you do in a way that's similar to other people, why you're different to other people, what you're doing in the way that you work or what you want to achieve, and your bigger purpose. That's what that boils down into. So have a look at that video if that's something you think will be useful.
And for those of you who are listening in and would like to have a copy of that video, just drop me a note or just drop Fred a note. We'll send you the link. You can watch it again on YouTube, no problem.
Sure, yeah, no, that it's on there. The other thing I did was talk about the value proposition from more of a commercial point of view, the kind of stuff I would train salespeople to do. And this is something that some people make so incredibly complicated. I've seen companies where they've got a 30-page document on how to do this. I'm like, well, what?
Wow, 30 pages.
30 pages. 30 pages on how to create a value prop. It's like none of the salespeople can understand it.
I was wondering whether they could, how many of them actually get past page 2?
Oh, I don't know. It's a beautiful piece of fiction. This is pretty, but it's like, they just didn't do it. And it's like, look, we need to make this stuff easy. The easiest way to think about it, it's got 2 bits, 2 main bits. What you do, why somebody cares. And actually, what most people will do is talk too much about what they do and not enough about why somebody cares. Do more about why somebody cares, less about what you do. There's time for that later on. That's the best advice I can give to somebody.
I think that's really cool. I was on a live cast this morning, and one of the guys that I was speaking to, and his podcast is coming out soon, he was saying that the question that changed his entire selling thinking was in his early days, his boss asked him, stop talking about yourself and start talking about what other people care about, because that's what's going to get you the money. So yeah. I like what you said just now, which is less about you, more about what others want to hear.
Yeah, I've got different, that's the elegant way to do it. That's stage 1. If somebody's not really listening, then we say to them, okay, right, you need to translate this into what's in it for me. And I'm your customer, okay? So what's in it for me? Why should I care? Right, if that's not working, we then go into the, so what? So what? So what? And we keep playing so what until somebody says something. They go, okay, as a customer, now you've said something interesting. And when I've got to turn the handle right up to, it's like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares until they say something about what they care about. And that's hard. It is hard, but you know, they're stages. Yeah. So yeah, this is the key. And look, we're talking here about good sales skills, about good communication skills, about good interpersonal skills. People are good at this stuff. Some very naturally gravitate to talking what the other person's interested in, what they're about. They're generally curious. They want to know, rather than talk about me. And they're just good at that. What they're also probably quite good at is adapting their behavior. They're good at reading people. And we all do elements of this naturally, but we can do it deliberately. And that's what I want to talk about today, is how you can start to, when you're talking to somebody, read their personality style. And just with a slight change of your behavior, so you don't change who you are, you don't change your personality, slight change of your behavior you start to say and do things in a way that sits better with them. So we need to read it, so we can pick up on clues, and then we need to adapt to it. And again, I'll give this, we can make this quite complicated, but in principle, it's pretty simple. There's a lot of deep psychology behind it. There's a lot of research. But if I give the simplified version that people can use, I always find that's a better thing. You know, you can do a 3-4 year degree in psychology, sure. This is the sort of the 10-minute version of how we can take Jungian, Carl Jung, Jung, I can never say it properly, J-U-N-G,
Yes.
and the things that he talked about, and just start to apply this in a common setting. So a lot of the models that you might come across, DISC, MBTI, and some of these things will have this at the core. And these guys probably hate it when someone like me comes along and simplifies it so folk can use it. But hey, I don't care. This stuff is so that people can use it, not to sell it commercially for me. So a couple of things we need to do then to understand this. We need to kind of understand the personality styles. And so I'll kind of do this practically. People can, if you're watching this, if you're live, so do this as we're working along. If you're watching on record, pause and sort of think about this a little bit, but don't overthink it. What I'd ask you to do is think about a spectrum where we're going to talk about introversion and extroversion. Right, I'm actually not going to use that. That is Jung's original language. But those words carry kind of different meaning now. If I started saying you're more introvert, you're more extrovert, people can respond to the connotations of it. But let's take what it means. It's about where people have their energy focus. So people who have an introvert leaning will have energy inside. Okay, so we're going to take this as people who tend to be more thoughtful, more thinking. They have thinking energy. Whereas we have people with the extra outside version, this is where they have more of a doing type energy. They'll go and they'll just get stuff done. It doesn't mean that if you have one preference, you don't ever get stuff done. It means what you go to more naturally. So I'm drawing this spectrum here, and I would just get people to think, where would you position yourself on that? Do you tend to reflect more? Do you tend to think about stuff more? Do you analyze things a little bit, act slightly slower and calmer? Or do you tend to be a bit more spontaneous, do stuff faster, go out, chat to folk faster? These kind of things would be clues. So put yourself in a position, A, B, C, or D. 4 options, so you can't pick the middle. There is no B and a half, doesn't exist. I'm forcing a decision here to get your preference.
I know. I love the 5-pointer scale though.
No, because you pick in the middle. 5 point no. Gone. 4.
I know. Okay, 4.
Another 4-point scale we're going to look at then is, and again, you cannot have a half, is when you're making decisions, when you're thinking about things, will you tend to do that based on people or task? Okay, so by that, what I mean is if you're thinking about something, you think, okay, well, the people involved in this, the others that are going to be involved, the relationships that this is going to pull on or might have an effect on. Some people naturally go to that quite quickly. Yeah. Others will think about, well, this is about getting a job done. It's about the task. It's about the objective. It's about the result. It's about the thing I'm trying to achieve. People don't matter so much. It's about the thing that we're trying to get to, the goal. Again, people will have I'm using the language deliberately here. They will have a preference towards one or the other. So what we can take is, we can take these scales and we can put them together. We can put them together onto a grid where we have people and task, and then we have thinking and doing. And depending your numbers, depending the very quick test, this is not a psychographic test by any way, shape or form.
If you want to do the real psychographic, then take the MBTI. But
take
yeah,
the MBTI, take the versions, and give yourself 45 minutes, not 3, just to consider the different questions which come back. But we'll be employing a similar psychology, well, the same psychology. So depending on these responses, what we get is people will have different personality styles. So I'm going to describe these in slightly different ways. I'm going to use some of the kind of more original social style language that I first learned, but I'm also going to do something which will help people remember even easier, I think. I want to talk about, firstly, people who'd fit into this segment. And by the way, we have all of these styles, and we just prefer one to the other, quite deliberate use. But people who tend to be more people-focused and more thoughtful, these will get the label, if you like, of amiables. So in French, the word for friend is ami. In Spanish, it's amigo. This is the friendly style. By the way, I have done this in green for a reason. Yeah, these are sometimes called
I love
green.
the colors. Oh my God, look at you.
Have the tech, I'm going to use it. The amiables, the greens are quite, and again, I'm going to talk about a strong version here, are quite friendly. They're quite caring. They're quite sympathetic. They're quite nice. They figure nice equals nice. So they're quite trusting. They're quite loyal. Now, they want to be part of groups. They want to fit in. The motivator, a big motivator for these guys, is they want to belong. That's an important way in which an amiable will act. So they can, when you overcook this, they can be a little risk averse. They might find innovation difficult. Things that are very new, they might perceive as being a bit of a risk. They don't like conflict at all. They'll do lots of stuff to try and avoid this. That can be good because they'll try and help people not be in conflict, but they'll also kind of shy away from it. But we do get this kind of very caring, sympathetic style. Now, people who are doing numbers might recognize, hey, that's me, you just described me. Yeah. Or you might think of somebody you know and go, yes, they would be an amiable. I can see that style in them. It's just one style. I'm going to move to here. I'm going to go across. So we're now going to think about people who have more of a task focus and more of that kind of extroversion, that doing preference. These are reds. These are reds. These are drivers. People who are driven. People who want to get results. This task focused do attitude means they are quite to the point, quite blunt. Quite rude, some people would say, amiables mainly. The drivers say, no, I am just trying to get things done here. Yeah, so blunt, direct, to the point. They're very focused. The motivator for these guys is all about results. So if it's going to help them achieve, it's going to help them get done, that is what will be reflected in the way that they operate. So they talk almost like in bullet points sometimes. They really don't mess about. They make decisions quickly. And we can recognize this in certain people. When we recognize it, it helps us understand them. So if an amiable, you're now thinking you know somebody like this, they're not being rude. They're actually just acting the way that their brain is wired, the preference that they have. So, amiables, drivers. Another style we have, again, let's look at the thinking style with a task focus, are the cool blues. The cool blues. These are the analyticals. So thoughtful, task focused, but this will manifest itself more in people who like methodology. They like process, they like data, they like facts and figures, because they want stuff to be correct. Accuracy is a really important element for them. So they're great with data, they're great with numbers, they're great dotting the I's and crossing the T's, seeing things through. If you recognize this style and you think, hey, this might be me, you might also have people tell you that you overthink things. Paralysis by analysis. Come on, make a decision. Well, I need to think about it more. No, get on with it. Yeah, it's that thoughtful style. Now, this doesn't make somebody a good or bad person. It just makes them different. It's how the brain is wired. It's how they prefer to think.
Yeah.
When we recognize it, we know why they're like that, and how, and this is why I'm going later, we can adapt to it to fit more comfortably.
Yeah. I think this is one of the things that we also speak about in the one-to-one coaching that we are doing with sales teams, is really start to analyze the people that you're going to speak with. It's really interesting, and I want to ask you that question at the end. And this is a question that keeps coming up again and again. And I'm going to wait till the end and ask you that question. So it's coming.
I'm going to mind read. I think I know what it is. Okay. And I can put, if it is the one I think, I can point some really interesting research. Awesome. But if it's not, I'll ask it myself. But we just need to think about the last style here. People who have that more extrovert, that doing style. So yeah, light has gone yellow. Yellow never works on the flip chart, so I will do it in orange. But these are the expressives. These are guys, they like to express themselves. They like to talk a lot. They probably like to talk a lot about themselves. They've always got a story. They're always saying something. There's always something that's caught their attention. And when we talk about caught their attention flits. It can go from one thing to another really fast.
Yeah.
The analyticals can find this excruciating. But we were talking about this and you've now gone that. Well, yeah, it's connected. No. Well, yeah, in my mind it is. And so they're jumping around quite, it's like a grasshopper mind sometimes. Yeah. The expressives, again, this people element to it, they're not like the aimables who want to fit in. The expressives, to a degree, they like to stand out a little bit.
Oh yeah.
They like recognition. You know, they like people to see them, hear them, and respond to them. So yeah, let's put that as their motivator. They love a bit of recognition. So yeah, talking to them about them, which is what good salespeople have done, as we've said, or should do. It's easy. They'll tell you a lot. It's just in a weird order that you have to try and unpick. So yeah, we see the expressives. Yeah, again, when you overcook these, I'm trying to talk about, yeah, this is the good sides of these. Are some of the things which we need to be aware of. It can be a bit, I don't know, a bit vain maybe. It can be a bit too self-centered. But I'm more expressive than any of the other styles, so I know. You know, they can get carried away sometimes in their own thoughts a little bit too much. Their decision making is way more intuitive. Their word. Than other people who would calculate and kind of really make it in a considered way. Oh, that sounds like a good idea. Let's do that. Based on what? Based on gut. It feels good. Okay. So they have to catch themselves doing that sometimes. So it's a good, like I say, I recognize myself in there. I'm actually between here, but which means I know I'm not that good in detail. Yeah. And so that's probably the hardest thing for me, but I can pick up my own self on this to make sure when something needs detail on it, either I apply my brain, because I can do it, or I get people to help.
Yeah.
So you learn a hell of a lot about yourself with this. As I say, that's what good coaches help you to understand. Recognize your strengths, recognize work-ons. So for me, I love this stuff. It's fascinating. And I love stuff to do with the brain anyway. But I love it because of when you understand it, how you can start to change what you say and do to make life more comfortable for other people. And surely that's what we want. Any type of communication, whether you're talking as a sales professional, you're talking with your friends, your family, don't you want them to be comfortable and like enjoy your company, your presence? Switching to do stuff in a way that works better for them is a way that we can do that. And we can do it deliberately. Some people say, well, this is a bit manipulative, isn't it? And I would argue and say, no, it's not. I'd say it's kind. You're doing a kind thing because you're making the effort to do something to make it easier for other people because you have the skill. You've got the ability to do that and you've got the will to do that. So I think this a chameleon-like approach depending why you're doing it, but if it's just so you can communicate better, makes a load of sense. You know,
Yeah.
when we're thinking about, so let's go back round. You know, let's go green again. We're talking to a green. Slow down. So if you're a fast talker, if you're someone who works quickly, again, I know this, I'm like that. I have to slow down a little bit. I have to be more personal. Now, some people hate talking about their personal lives, you know, what they've done the weekend, what goes on at home. Amiables are interested in that. That's how they start to build trust. That's how they connect with a person. They're genuinely caring. They want to know how your weekend was, how your day's been. You know, they want to know what connections you might have in common. They're loyal to their suppliers. So asking them to make great changes is hard. But asking for something just so that you can show them that maybe there's a better way for them and their team. Team is a good way to position this. And giving lots of proof, introducing them to your own team, talking to them about why something is safe, it's solid, it's tried, it's tested. It's a good option. Other people have done it. Social proof, we know, is a powerful way to persuade. But for amiables, it's like almost, it's a must-have. You've got to talk about that. So we can adjust this style when we've read them to reflect back. It's like people like themselves. So if you can map it back to them and kind of almost act like that, it lands better.
Absolutely.
When we go to the driver, it's nearly the opposite. If you look, it is opposite because it's got totally different preferences. People and thinking, doing and task. Drivers to the point, don't mess about, don't get personal, speed up, get it in bullet points, what's in it for them, based on what we said earlier, it's got to be very fast to that. And watch out for fast decision making. Because they like what they know. And if they've heard something and think, yeah, that makes sense, good, bang, do it. You can miss that. And I've seen salespeople carry on trying to persuade, and I read a driver going, well, why are you still talking? I've said yes. What's wrong with you? I missed it because I was kind of more involved in my own mind. Yeah, so it's straight to the point. They might push back a little bit. So it's not about collapsing under that, but it's not about going into a battle with them. It's about showing just a little bit of backbone. And they kind of respect that.
Yeah.
But it does have to be punchy to the point and making sure that you're really giving them what they want fast. They work fast. That's what happened. Yeah. Helping them achieve the results and the stuff that they're trying to do. Align with that.
Yeah.
Good.
I want to pick up on that one piece because I've had so much of experience of being on the other side of salespeople who are so process oriented that in there, you can almost see them going through that checklist in their head.
Yeah.
Whereas the driver's already said yes or no, he's already made the decision or she has made the decision, and you're still trying to get through the checklist. And that can really peeve people off.
Yeah,
I mean,
but I've still got loads of slides left in my presentation. I've still got to give you the implementation story.
Yeah,
don't need it. I can see it works.
Yeah,
I don't need someone else's story. I've got my own story. I know it. Yeah, it's good. But this one first bit doesn't matter. Adapt to the person. Now, where you probably are going to have to go in detail and use 17 different stories and every single one of your slides and all of the backup ones you've got and all the data and everything is the analytical. I mean, you have to give these backup proof data. But my advice with this is yes, go prepared and be ready to do that. But remember that expression I used, paralysis by analysis. Just be aware of that because they will keep wanting more information, keep wanting to think about stuff, keep wanting to process. Now, sometimes we have to give them a gentle nudge to get the decision. Otherwise, they can think about stuff forever.
Yeah.
So we've got to give them info. We've got to give them the data. Don't pretend that what, as a yellow, would be enough for me is going to be enough for them. It's not. Data, info, but be ready to move them forward, even if it's to the next logical step. They love process. So again, showing them an implementation plan, showing them how things pan out, that's the results you're going to get. But these are the things we're going to do to get to here. Love it. That's good practice anyway, but for an analytical, very, very important. Our friends, the expressives, I'll let them talk. Oh yeah, brilliant story. Oh, fantastic. Oh, I love it. Oh, so interesting. even if it's not. No, so let them talk, and they will give you lots of information. Now, as I've said, it's in a weird order. Sometimes you have to take it out. Now, when you present it back to them and giving them your ideas, it's got to be exciting. Almost like the opposite. If you'd said to them, this is tried, this is tested, loads of people have done it, they'll be like, yeah, okay. This is new. You'd be the first to do this. This is innovative. You'd be cutting edge in the market. This will put you well ahead. We need to write a case study on you. Really? Oh, okay, sure. Yeah. They love that. So bringing them into it, making it exciting. You know, that's the stuff that they need. You know, this will set them up as different and help them with their success. Expressives love that. It's an excuse to express more, isn't it?
That is so true. Yeah, you just need to feed it. You just need to keep feeding them the cues, and they just keep going.
Off you go. Oh, here's an idea. Oh yeah, then I can do this and this and this. You go, okay, that was in my presentation. Now I'm not going to now tell you that what you've just said to try and show how clever I am. That's a great idea. Let me see if we can do that. That's what I was going to say anyway, but okay. It's your idea. You sell the idea back to them more often than not. But yeah, you got to give them the time to express, the time to be a bit kind of flamboyant. Peacocky would be a word that I could use.
Yeah, that's a nice word.
And actually, so I'm doing. So we've got the names, we've got the colours. You can actually do this with. There's lots of different ways that some sit in people's heads a bit better. They can be birds. The expressive's a peacock.
Okay.
You know, the peacock on show, all the tail feathers. Look at me. Hey, I'm pretty cool, aren't I? Yeah. Think of them as peacocks. Amiable is a dove. Dove, peace, pleasant bird. Think of the dove. You know, it's a soft, gentle type creature. The analytical, wise old owl. There's the owl sat looking at things, weighing things up. It knows. It's calculating. They're vicious hunters, by the way, because they calculate. Yeah. And the driver's the eagle, isn't he?
Oh yeah, just
he's there, king of the skies, does stuff quick, swoops in.
Yeah.
Oh, so you can think about this in different ways.
Nice. Yeah, I like the personas. Yeah,
oh,
I do.
I'll tell you another. So I've trained this for quite a long time. So I used to talk about Star Trek characters.
Nice.
But people, many now, and I'm getting the listeners now, are going to go, what? Captain Kirk, Spock? They're like, no, forget that. No. Harry Potter houses.
Oh.
That if you look at the Harry Potter houses, Griffin, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, and Slytherin, the people within them share similar personas.
Nice.
The house itself has a persona.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hufflepuff is that kind of weird, badgery looking animal, isn't it? Soft and cuddly and nice and amiable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ravenclaw, they're quite scientific, aren't they? They're quite analytical.
Very analytical.
Point, figures, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Slytherin, drivers, to the point. Boom, we'll get that done. And the Gryffindor guys are the expressives.
Nice.
When you start understanding this psychology, you see it replicated in so many areas.
It's true.
Many, many television shows will do this because the interplay of the characters, where they take very strong versions of them, is what makes it interesting.
That's where the drama comes in.
Right? The drama comes in. The really analytical person who's totally logical, totally data read, trying to talk to the person who's totally intuitive and all expressive and gets excited about everything. It's good fun. You start to recognize it.
That's true.
The homework from this module is great. Just go watch telly.
Yeah. Or just go back and look
catch the different characters.
I know. That's really interesting. Cool. I like that.
Yeah. So that's the model. Look, I could talk about this for hours. I could go into such detail. I love anything psychological, and this particularly is such a powerful thing to use. But just remember those different styles, where they're from, recognize yourself, pick up on the clues of others, and then think about, well, how can I adapt to that? That's going to improve communication no end.
So are you open for a question? So there've been a few comments while we were on. So now, yeah. So basically, one of the guys, Namdev, who was on, said that he really loved the part about empathy, and how it's you sort of put yourself in other people's shoes. And now we've taken that to the next level, where we start to also adapt the way that we engage with them. So are you ready for a question then?
Go on. But
Okay.
empathy, totally. I mean, look, you're not going to be on a sales course with me and not talking about empathy nearly every 30 minutes. I mean, to be fair, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, biggest skill there is. So yeah, go on, fire the question in.
So the question is, if you are stuck in a meeting with exact opposites on the table with you. So for example, if you yourself are a driver, and then you're stuck with a analytical CFO and an expressive CMO, how do you pitch?
What do they need? Again, it's going back to the stuff that we started talking about. What's important to them? I mean, yeah, and you're probably right. That probably is the CFO. They're attracted to that job because of the accuracy, the fact they're figuring out. That's why they're good at it. They need numbers, they need data, they need the proof, they need the backup. You can't get away without supplying it. So again, just because for you, the big picture, well, I think the kind of what's the bottom line is enough, they need to know how you get there. You have to prepare to be able to give that. Now, the interesting dynamic you've just given there is that the person here is opposite to that. They could start to get quite bored with it. So this is where it does take a little bit of managing. And so sometimes signposting this is a good way to do it, which is, look, I know that your colleague needs this amount of data. So I'm just going to go into that for a moment, if that's okay. Tell them what you're going to do. But then try to balance it back by having done that, say, but look, the reason we're doing this data is because the vision that we've got, go back into the big picture, back into the vision stuff, is this, excite the expressive back it. That you are a driver is almost irrelevant.
I think that's the key piece.
The change.
Yes.
Now, with the other driver, that's easy. You almost don't need to think because it's just like yourself. Here it's, I need to shift for them and shift to them, but I'm coming from here. So what's right for me is actually irrelevant for these guys.
I think the two things which are really powerful that you said is, one, signposting. And a lot of salespeople don't do that very well. And I think it's very important to signpost that, not just salespeople, but also people who are actually running meetings, whether those are change meetings or whether they are, internal meetings. You need to have structure and signpost to say, I know this is what we want to go after. Let me take a detour and let's come back to it, and then have the discipline to come back. So I think that's one. And two, what you believe or what you want is totally irrelevant to the style. I think it's really about learning to flex with the people that you're talking to. Very good.
I mean, there is an expression that comes from NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which says the person that's able to, I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it's to do with the person who can flex the behavior the best is most likely to get the better outcome.
It's called,
and that's what we're trying to do.
The mirroring technique, right?
Smart move.
Isn't that part of the mirroring technique of NLP? You mirror the other person's preferences.
I mean, this is what we're talking about here. We're kind of mirroring on a psychological level. It's just about being adaptable and being better at communication. So we need flex. Behavioral flex is a real skill.
And I think that's really the life skill that you are actually asking us to think about, is how do you flex? How do you take yourself out of your own skin and put yourself in the shoes of others? And do the prep. I think one of the things that people don't do very well is they don't give breaks between meetings. So they'll go from one meeting straight into the other, or they go from one pitch, puff through everything and just land. And so you really don't have time to calm down, reframe, think a bit, and then approach the meeting.
Definitely. I mean, the advice I give to salespeople now is, particularly if you're doing stuff in Zoom and Teams that we're doing a lot of now, and we just put stuff back to back. We do, and the discipline to not do that is almost impossible. So the trick or the skill that I've found that works really well is, if there's an hour in, make it 45 minutes. Plan for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
In your head, it's 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Try to do stuff 45 minutes. Don't fall into the trap of, well, I need to do all this stuff. I'm going to squeeze out the last minute. And actually, I'm so important, they can be late to their next meeting.
No,
At
that doesn't work.
45 minutes,
Yeah.
I start getting notifications on my computer. You've got this coming next.
Yeah.
So my brain is already moving into it.
Mhm.
So if you're trying to sell me something, my brain is actually already going.
Yeah.
If you can keep to 45 or shorter and say, look, I'm going to give you some time back, people think you're brilliant. You're already going to have a massive impact on them. God, that's superb.
Yeah.
And salespeople say to me, but what if I don't get to talk about my stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Set up another meeting.
Yeah.
And there's a kind of thinking here that's like, and this is simplified, but it's like if you've got an hour and you think, I'm going to talk about them for half an hour and then me for half an hour, find out their problems, prevent my solution. Why not say, I'm going to spend 45 minutes talking about them to get to the end of it, say, rather than now let me talk about me, let's have another 45. We can definitely do stuff here. I've got some ideas. I want to go away and refine them. Let's put another date in the diary so I can come back and we can talk about those things that you just told me.
Yeah.
Now, if you've done a good job, and we talked about questioning in one of the other videos, didn't we?
Yeah.
If you've done a good job, they'll be, no, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let's put another hour in. Now I've got 45 minutes to talk about myself or my solution and stuff. Yeah. We've made an hour and a half. So actually you end up with more time if you're disciplined, but that time you spent focusing on them makes the time later even more valuable.
That's true.
So I try and get people about that. I mean, that's a pro-sales tip.
That's really nice. That's a pro tip. I think keeping it to 45 minutes and then really working the conversation is so important, to be mindful and present. A lot of people tend to be very distracted. And that's one of the challenges that we have. So you might have noticed I was actually looking at my phone from time to time because I'm actually tracking comments that are coming through on the live screen. But
that's good. I get it.
Yeah. So I think that's important, but that's one of the challenges of multitasking is you actually never multitask. You only steal attention away from the main topic. Yeah.
You do it. And the crazy thing, I mean, we're digressing slightly, but we are working more in this environment now. We are working on a machine designed to distract you.
Yeah, it's true.
With beeps and bings and other things going on. You've got another little machine next to it designed to distract you. And probably other stuff going on designed to distract you. So as the salesperson, you have to work harder to keep the engagement. In technical terms, the engagement threshold, it's the piece where people start to get bored. It's higher when we're virtual. You got to work harder to keep above it. Right.
It's true. It's true.
This is part of it. By engaging on them on the level they need to, so it's comfortable and you're just appear to be on that same wavelength and more interesting to them. Great. Not talking, but getting them talking about themselves, another ways of doing it. So yeah.
Cool. I don't think we have any other questions. So would you like to wrap for today?
I thought the question was going to be, because I started talking about extroversion, introversion, who makes the better salesperson?
Oh, that's a really nice question to ask, but I have very, very different views on that. So I'm just going to hold my thoughts and I'm going to let you do that because I believe that I'll hold my thoughts.
Okay, the answer is the person that can flex the most. Actually, so it doesn't really matter. Going back to this model, the person that can run this, it doesn't matter whether you're introvert or extrovert. If you're, is it ambivert or people who can adapt?
Yeah.
There are studies though that show, and this is where people get quite surprised, that introverts make better salespeople. Maybe that's what you were going to say. Because they've got attention to detail, because they can follow process, because they spend more time thinking, because they let the other person speak more. So there are studies, and I had an event where I had a guest speaker talking about this. It was fascinating. He says, yeah, you would think, oh, it's the outgoing, talking, No. The person who's going to reflect more, help you reflect more, seed a little part of the conversation, give you the time and space. So yeah, introverts.
Agreed. Okay, that's what I was going to say.
Introverts going to take over the planet. when they're allowed. No, something like that. Is it some rubbish joke along those
So
lines? I probably got the punchline wrong. But
cool.
no, so yeah, let's wrap up because we talked about 45 minutes and we're having such fun. We've gone over. No, so look, this stuff is powerful. You know, really think about it. Do it consciously. Yeah, I've got these funny buttons, haven't I? I can press and make the change really easy.
That is true.
But
your environment is ambivert.
But it's what you're doing in your head. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
If you can do this, great.
Yeah.
Where do we get more of this stuff? So at Pace Academy, I mean, I've mentioned it already. There's the videos in there produced on those different levels, sales skills, life skills in a commercial world, and then to be a sales professional. So people can join that, can't they? They can get access to that. More live streams will go into that. Access to us if people have got questions, please. Absolutely. You know, use the Academy. Connect on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, connect. Yeah, mention you've seen this. That's useful for me, but I'll definitely connect. Ask questions there. But yeah, biggest thing. What's your aha moment? What are you going to take away? What are you going to do about it?
Cool. My aha moment today, and I'm going to say that today because my aha moment today was that what you actually think and what you actually plan to do is irrelevant. What is most important is putting yourself and flexing yourself to the styles of others. That's been the big aha for me.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
Very cool.
So what do you expect to hear from you in the next 2 weeks?
The next 2 weeks. So we're going through. So the cycle of these trainings is a little model we're using called UCL. Okay. Understanding, capability, and liking. Now, there are three things that salespeople need to pull together.
Yeah.
Too many salespeople rely just on being someone's best friend. Doesn't work. If you understand them and their world, great. But you also have to show the capability or your credibility to deal with it. And if you can be a decent person doing it, even better. So this was a liking module. We're going circling back into understanding. So it's we've done questioning. It is off the top of my head, I can't remember actually, but it's one of the tools to help sort of really get to know people and their business and their environment better.
Nice. Okay.
Sorry, I can't remember. I'm in the moment. I'm in the moment.
Awesome. So thank you very much, Fred. I think really enjoyed the conversation and see you back in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, I look forward to it.
All right.